It's funny, you said last time you thought this was a script. I was like,
Oh.
he's like, that's flowing so well. And I was laughing because the last episode we had, the
Yeah.
editor, I think I posted on my story. He's like, bro, there's so much value in this. You know, it's like a bit of a selfish thing where we're giving value, but at the same time, we get to sit down with you
Yeah.
and have an opportunity, not only just to kind of like pour into the relationship,
Yeah.
but at the same time, understand a little bit more about like, what is it that you're doing, your mindset, your thought process.
Cool. So you want to kick things off with welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you, Dr. Derek.
What's the
Thanks
show
for having me
called?
on.
What's the show called?
Welcome to Property Founder.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you for checking in, for tuning in. But yeah, we've got Dr. Derek on today
Yeah, for episode 3.
for episode 3. Pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, if you probably want to give the guys a bit of an intro as to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Yeah, so Dr. Derek, I'm absolutely passionate about just impacting and helping loads of different people. And we actually met in a property space. That's where we first met. And it's funny when you first meet someone, you just realize you have so much kind of shared values and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So straight away, you know, like both dads, we're both hardworking entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff. So I've got a practice, a GP practice. That's what I do most of the week. And then into property, which is where we met and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of social media. I love making content. I love educating people and stuff. So that's the bit I do across my week, and it takes all my energy and stuff like that, but I absolutely love doing it.
Yeah, I'm even glad we managed to get you down because even on a personal level, like I actually engage with your content.
Oh, I
And
love
do you know
it.
what I mean? Like there's value I take from it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I probably subconsciously incorporated certain things you've said, consciously and subconsciously.
Yeah.
Because when I'm thinking of mostly like nutrition and diet, I'm like, okay, cool. That's a good thing to put into place. Or even sometimes when I haven't done my 10,000 steps, I'm thinking, this guy.
What would Derek say? Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I think as entrepreneurs, we can really be pushing towards like the next goal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your health, like, what is the vehicle that's driving you towards that?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, even I've been guilty of that in the past as well, but a lot of us don't really realize that about how important it is to look after themselves, after ourselves. And that's like exactly where, like, obviously my doctor hat on and the entrepreneur hat on is kind of, I put that together because I want people to, let's say, just realize what's important and just do things in the best way, like what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
100%.
So I guess in terms of like where I'd love to start is kind of about your background.
Yeah.
And this is something I don't know much about. So this is going to be the first time I'm hearing it.
Me neither, really.
But tell us about your background. Like, where did life start for you? You know, I don't, you were born in the UK?
No, so in Ghana.
Okay,
So I was born,
see, I didn't even know, see?
So I was born in Ghana, and so we moved to the UK when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
So my dad is a doctor as well.
Wow.
And what he did, he just moved our entire family from Ghana to the UK in search of a better life. It's funny because he always told me, is this African proverb? He always said, "There's no beauty but the beauty of action," which is basically like if you've got any plans or any goals. It doesn't matter if it's kind of in your head. You actually have to take the leap, take the step.
Yeah.
He always said it to me, and he actually physically did it when he just moved us like from Ghana across basically. And we didn't have like family and stuff here, so we kind of built things up and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, grew up in Ghana, absolutely incredible environment and stuff, and that's probably where my passion to help people, the whole health side of things. And also that entrepreneurial side of things, it probably got fostered in that environment. And then obviously coming across here where we first lived, it wasn't like the safest area. But then you learn how to kind of navigate. You can get on with different types of people.
Yeah.
Kind of through the school, and even like getting to university, one of the top universities for medical school. From my secondary school to get there, Bristol University was a bit crazy. Like, how did this guy make it there? But it's all from like the drive and stuff like that my parents instilled in me when I was younger. And then, you know, from there, I'm one of the lead GPs in the area. So as well as having my practice, I also kind of manage workforce and education in that area. All the practice in Wigan. So I've been doing that as well. So So it's all kind of part of my journey, part of my story from the kind of medical side of things.
Yeah.
And then entrepreneurial has always been it's always been in me. So it's always been that flair that's been going through as well.
Where did you move to when you came to the UK? Like what part of the UK did you live in?
Yeah, so we were in North London, so kind of
cool,
Enfield, Edmonton area.
okay.
Did you guys?
I think you mentioned
Yeah,
London.
yeah.
We're from Hackney.
Hackney, so not too.
So it's funny, like
you guys lived quite close, isn't it, when you were
we grew
younger?
up in pretty much like the same estate area. And then I had family in Enfield. I remember most of my family was in Hackney.
Okay.
And then a lot of them moved into various areas, but one part of my family in particular, I remember they moved to Enfield. That was the first time I heard of it, and it felt like a long journey to get there. Like I think it was a 279 from Manor House.
279. Oh, that was
It felt like it was going on forever.
It's crazy though. Like I love to, because your mindset, obviously, you're where you are now, but you've made it through those environments, haven't you?
Yeah.
And there's a sort of person that it makes you when you're there, aren't you? The sort of things that you see, the sort of things that you experience. So it'd be good to kind of see how, like, you've been through a lot as well, haven't you? And you're here.
I think in hindsight, you don't realize, like, you only know in hindsight, but you don't realize in the moment, like, the process you're going through.
Yeah.
You know, I find myself, like, when I look at myself as a child, and even just a teenager going to school, you're dealing with anxiety a lot of the time because you're like, I just want to go to school, come home, and not be troubled.
Exactly.
Right? But
Exactly.
there's so many stories that sometimes I've shared to people that don't understand my background.
Exactly.
And you probably resonate with this as well. Like, you're a doctor now as well, so like, there's I'm sure that some people might be surprised by the things you may have experienced or seen growing up. And same with Ross, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Being in that environment, it does shape you. And when you do go into a different setting, like whether it's business, property, a corporate setting in work or so on, you handle pressure in a different way because
you've been there.
You've been there. You've just been thrust into pressure environment.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's the classic saying, "Pressure makes diamonds." But in this case, you do feel like that in hindsight when you look back.
100%, bro.
100%,
100%, bro.
I think one thing I would say as well is growing up in that kind of environment, it's like you are able to, like, with the struggle, whether it's like not having a lot of money or having to be resourceful, you learn to, I guess, endure long periods of pain like, for a longer period of time. And I think that's such an asset. That's such an asset in business, right? Because it's like most people who had everything provided for them, they may give up at the first pitfall because they're like, it's not working out. They get frustrated and that's it. So I would say that's probably one of the key quality traits on the positive side. that it definitely gave.
I'd say that also when I think about things, so a lot of what I do is about communication, property. Like, I have to build a team. That's the only way I can actually leverage other people's time. Obviously, at work with patients, I have to communicate. And I think that when you're able to get out of those environments and navigate them, you can literally speak to different types of people to kind of survive all that kind of stuff. So those skills have been absolutely invaluable, like, to me, to get to where I am. So, like, pain is a big one. Communication, being able to kind of get things across is a big one as well. And like, being that there's resilient as well. So a lot of people don't have that. A lot of things will go wrong. And if you don't have that, like, a strong why or a way where you're keeping on the path, you're just going to give up as well. So yeah, I agree with that, bro. Yeah.
A few questions. So obviously you mentioned you moved to the UK when you were 10.
Yeah.
So were you in Enfield from 10 up until you moved to Manchester?
No. So my family moved then to Hertfordshire. So they just moved further north, basically. So North London, and then they moved to Hertfordshire around Cheshunt. That's when we're doing a bit better, isn't it? And then after that, so I went to St. Ignatius, which is a really good school. I don't know. You told me, you know people were there. And then after that, then I went to uni, Bristol Uni and stuff like that. And then and that's kind of the journey. Was your dad an entrepreneur, or was he actually a doctor working in the NHS? Yeah, so my dad, so what happened, so he worked at the NHS here for a bit, and then he went back to Ghana where he did a lot of like lecturing and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of went academia side of things. It's funny though, because entrepreneur, definitely not. I think typical African parent just wants the best. There's a lot of risk and stuff involved, so they want to kind of be safe and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think he was. It's not like he wasn't like pushing me towards it, but also he's aware that obviously he's quite stable as a doctor and all that kind of stuff. So, doing this other stuff, there's always kind of risks and stuff involved, and you're really taking a leap, you're really taking a jump and stuff like that. So not like he wasn't for it, but he wasn't like completely embracing at the beginning until I started doing really well and like awards and all that kind of stuff.
The reason why I asked though is because you mentioned there was like an entrepreneurial part in you.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out where did that come from, because I feel like the route that you've taken as well is very like structured. Like go to school, get a good education. You managed to get, you know, a quite, I guess, looked at as a good job, which is quite, it's the safe route. It's not really entrepreneurial. So where did that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
It's funny. It's probably from my dad inadvertently. So it just takes you back to so that proverb he always said, "There's no beauty but the beauty of action." And then from that, I realized that literally, if there's anything that you have in your mind, any goal or whatever, you can actually manifest it and actually get it out of there if you take that action and it actually happens, and you can actually achieve it basically. So essentially I was like, wait, hold up. If I actually had this idea that I want to impact all these people, if I actually got it out there and actually did the action, it will happen. So why not just do this? Why not just do that? And so maybe at that age, I didn't know what entrepreneur was. But at that age, I definitely knew that with enough courage and confidence, you can really bring what's in your head
How old were you
into life.
when this happened? Like when you say
kind of 9, 10-ish and all that kind of stuff. And then as I've got older and older, probably the last, I mean, I've been in property, 3-4 years. Over that period of time, I've really seen how, obviously we're talking about property here, but that's just one of the vehicles. There's other things that I've done that started as an idea in my brain, and now it's out there and it's impacting like hundreds of people. You talk about my content and stuff like that. I've got clients that I help with this, and so it's kind of that whole idea where you say entrepreneurial, I'll just say, look, just get what's out here in your brain, just get it out there, and just take the action and just be consistent with it. That's kind of where that came from for me.
I guess thinking of going into business, because as you said, it's entrepreneurial is more like the spirit, right? You don't necessarily even have to have the entrepreneurial spirit and go and start a business. It's just that willingness to take action.
Exactly.
But how did that transition for you, if using that spirit and then going into business? Because you've got your own practice. I didn't know these things right growing up. I just thought a doctor is someone that just works for like the NHS or, you know, works for somebody. But then I've met doctors more recently where they're like, no, I have my own practice. This is my own business. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Not aware of this. So like, what kind of lit the fire for you to go out and start your own business?
So, I mean, I've got a few different businesses now. So there's a healthcare one, there's the content one, so kind of fitness lifestyle one, and there's obviously the property one, right? And the first thing I always do is I actually look to someone that's achieved what I want to achieve, because I'm confident enough to back myself. Like if someone has achieved this, like what makes you different for me? Like, do you get what I'm saying? So that's literally always my first step. So you're never gonna know everything to start off with, but if you find someone that's achieved that, you can just model their behavior. And so a lot of people, they just want the outcome, but you have to become that person, you know, to get there. And the only way you become that person is actually finding that person. And then that's where kind of mentorship comes in, or, you know, all that. So that's literally, in terms of the actual steps, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to do this. I'll be consistent. I've got the drive, and I've got this thing in my head. Okay, who's done it, basically? We always talk about, you know, books and all that kind of stuff. So who, not how. That's one of the books that you want me to read. So,
I'm actually reading that right now. Again, I'm rereading it. So
exactly. So you start like, who's actually done this? And so that's what I did across the businesses. And so that's what helped me. So in property, I got mentorship, and that literally allowed me to go from, absolutely zero investor property to building more than £1 million property portfolio within 12 months and kind of winning awards. I saw you at the national, the property investors award and all that kind of stuff. So that's the whole skill. Like this fitness business I've been building, exactly the same. Who is a person that's achieved it, and been getting mentorship from them, and it just cuts that time, because I could be spending years on doing this, but I've literally cut it. Where we spoke about the idea, we had lunch. 3-4 months ago we spoke about the idea. I'd implemented it, and I've got a business. I've grown the business. So that's the process. So it's idea, find a person that's achieved it, and model that behavior, mentorship, coaching, and then actually implement, actually take the steps, and then that's been my process to get into where I have.
I love that, man, because I subscribe to that exact process as well. Like, if you have a goal, forget a goal. If you want to become something or someone, or you want to do something, you need clarity on what your goal and the vision is, because you need to then communicate that to somebody so that they can point you in the right direction, right? So usually, like the who, not how that you mentioned there, is most people fixate on the how, and that stops them most of the time, because they're limited by their capacity of what is capable.
Exactly.
And the best way of thinking about that is who's actually done this. So you only know the who once you know your goal, you have your vision.
Thank you.
I saw recently somewhere where a guy spoke about, I think it was on another podcast, and he was talking about a lot of people want to sit in front of multimillionaires or billionaires, but they don't even know what they want to do themselves. So there's nothing that they can ask that millionaire or billionaire that they can't ask ChatGPT. You know? But if you have the goal and clarity in your vision, when you communicate that, it's very likely they can be of use to you.
100%.
Oh, I can point you in the direction of this person. Let's say, for instance, I want to implement AI. I have no idea about AI, but that's my goal. I want to implement this. What happens from there, once I communicate it, someone then goes and says, oh, I know someone that might be able to help you in there. That's done that for somebody else.
Yeah.
So that process is critical, because a lot of people, and I'm sure people will be listening to this, fixating on, how do I do this? How do I do that? And it's like, no, just know what your goal is, and then worry about who can connect you, who has done this, and you connect the dots from there. So I love that.
And also, I actually learned this from you, bro, in terms of, so you're very good at, so one thing I've also learned is that you actually have to model. So when you get that person that you want to follow the footsteps in, you also have to kind of model the thinking systems, like their mindset, the way they see life. So you're always posting, you're always in like, you go to like random places, like you go to like these kind of Aston Martin like dealerships, and like I see like
you've been consistent about that, to be fair.
No, but that's really important. That's really important, because like if you kind of model their behaviors, how they see the world and stuff like that, you're becoming that person. Because like, if you were the person that would have, let's say, like £1 million property portfolio, if you're the person, you'd be that already. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The fact that you're not there, then the way to build up to that is the process we talked about, but also actually becoming that person. And the only way to do that is actually know what that person is like, basically.
It's funny, we like the exact same conversation we had in a previous episode with Tyler, where we spoke about not chasing the butterfly, building the garden that attracts the butterfly. And what that is essentially just become that person that attracts success. Don't chase success. And that's the exact same thing that we're hearing again. And
I love that.
It's funny, there's a consistent pattern you see when you speak to founders, you speak to entrepreneurs. They're not talking about, I'm trying to chase this, I'm trying to chase that. I'm trying to become the person I need to become that can handle the things that I want and achieve the goals that I want to achieve. So I love that.
Yeah. Just to echo that as well, I love that you brought that up, because I feel like everybody is in a chasing mindset. It's like, they're searching for, or they're trying to attract, I don't know, the person of their dreams, or the life of their dreams, or the home of their dreams, or their dream job, when really everything, in my opinion, comes down to becoming the person that is deserving of those things, and then all of those things will come into you. So
100%.
Going back to that point as well, I remember you messaged me one time and you're like, oh, you're always in these places. He's like, I need to get around these places more. And I think you went to the Porsche dealership.
I think so. Yeah, I went to the Porsche dealership the next day. You know, I went to the Porsche dealership and I took a picture.
Did we go to the Ferrari showroom when we were younger? I feel like I have a video.
Yeah, Berkeley
I need
Square.
to up my game. Go to
Do
the
you know
Ferrari
what it is?
next
I've
time.
been there so many times, but I think for me, when it comes back down to it as well, is this was kind of from network marketing days.
Yeah.
And it was more so around like if you want a specific car or you want a specific like lifestyle, like get around it, see what it feels like. So I've always been kind of a person to make sure that I can get around the things that I want and just see what they feel like, so that I know exactly what it is that I want, and then kind of just reverse engineer it from there. So
yeah. It's what I'm saying. Like, there's also, when I say the kind of person you have to become as well, there's so many challenges and stuff like that that you wouldn't see. You don't see that in the climb or in the process. You don't see the difficulties and challenges. And if you're not able to actually go through that difficulty and come out on the other side, then you might not be able to handle, you know, this thing that you really want. You might waste it and stuff like that. So that's where like faith comes in, and that's why, you know, we get on so well, because like I've had some really big challenges in property and business and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, if you can see the challenges as a way in which this has got to happen, for you to actually get this goal, you need to become a certain person. And the only way you can do that is when you're forged through that fire. Yeah. Because you're not going to be able to handle the blessing that's coming, basically.
No, precisely.
So yeah, I always tell that, like, literally, and I try, obviously my daughters, they're not old enough to fully understand, but I always tell them this, like, that's just these difficulties and challenges, they actually brought it there as a goal, as a gift for you, to become the person that you're meant to become. 100%.
Yeah, so like, don't try and run away from it, which most people are trying to avoid, right? It's trying to avoid the pain. Like, you train as well, you understand peak performance, you understand. I talk about doing hard things first. Like, my mindset a year ago was like, I would never do like a cold plunge, and now I do cold plunges pretty much every day when I'm
still not done one day. I need to.
Definitely recommend it. I recommend it. So obviously we'll get to so many things in today's episode about like the other businesses, again, delving more into mindset, even just like productivity hacks as well, because I know that ties quite closely with nutrition as well, which is important for an entrepreneur. But if we start a property now and think, okay, you've been in it for 3-4 years, what sparked the desire for you to venture into property?
So I think it's like a lot of people, with me, I wanted to get to a place where I could kind of split my time from my income generating side of things. So I wanted, you know, say kind of passive income, but I wanted to get to a stage where I was, you know, my time wasn't so fixed to income. So that for me is what I see as financial freedom, basically. So that's where it came from, basically. And then it started there. I was like, this is what I want to achieve, right? But I'm like, I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't have any goals, like kind of a way to reach that goal. Sorry. And like we talked about this off kind of camera, like there's so many strategies for property, but I had to first start off with clarity. I had to start off with, you know, what am I actually wanting to achieve? Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Literally my first steps. If you don't start off with that clarity, then there's so many things you can do that you either waste time, shiny penny syndrome and all that kind of stuff. So that was literally where I had to start with. So when I started with, okay, I want time freedom, location freedom and all that kind of stuff, then I looked, so these are the different strategies, right? So I specifically decided that HMO was what I wanted to do, HMO conversions, right? So I was like, this is what I have to do. I'd never done works to a house. I never owned a rental property. I never owned a buy-to-let, basically. But the reason why I was like, I didn't want to do buy-to-let at that stage was because if I want a high cash flow in kind of strategy or in this asset, like buy-to-lets right now are not going to do that. They will in the future. That's part of the game, but it won't do that right now.
Yeah,
so
it's a volume game.
Exactly. So then I was like, okay, HMO service accommodation. But then I realized that with my personality, probably service accommodation with a higher turnover didn't fit me so much. So actually, at least having more stable tenants and stuff like that fit me. So then I was like HMOs, and then I was like, okay, now I want to achieve this. Where did I get the knowledge to do that? Mentorship. Now that I've got some mentorship, now I know how to do it. Like, I'm still a dad. got a family. I've still got my practice as a doctor. How am I going to have time to do all this conversion, all that kind of stuff? I've got to build a team. That's literally what I was like, that's the next step. So that's where networking comes. That's where communication comes. Because if you don't build that team around you, then if you don't leverage other people's time, you have to do the stuff. But if you do the stuff, then it's not going to be done to the standard that it should be, right?
Plus, it takes longer.
And it takes longer as well. Yeah. So that's literally then from that, it's literally just first principles to see what do you want to do, how to achieve it, and just going up the ladders, up the steps. And
So taking it a couple of steps back, right? So you chose property as almost a vehicle for you that will give you that high cash flow, that somewhat passive income. There's obviously other industries that can give you that as well, but why did you choose property?
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. I think there's no limitation, to be honest. There's no limitation because I've got another business that's giving me high cash flow and all that kind of stuff. The reason why I chose property, that's a very good question, actually. I've always been interested. So there's something within me that taking something from what it looked like first and then completely transforming it to something completely different, unexpected. That for me, like maybe from when I was young, there's just something that really sparked something within me doing that. Okay. So you said why property? It should be maybe why HMO conversions, because I could have bought a HMO. So it's because the whole thing of literally taking a 2 or 3 bed property, making it a 5 or 6 bed, all en suites, high end valuation, like best house on the street. That is just mad.
Yeah.
And that whole process of transformation, that's why in my fitness side of things and the health side of things, literally, I've been on my transformation myself where I've lost 45 pounds of body fat, and I've gone to how I looked like a year or so ago, and like to how I look like now, and even helping people to do the same thing. I think that is the element that really attracted.
So it's that transformation is really key.
Transformation, yeah.
I think what you're talking about as well, and it's probably why these things do so well on Instagram, is the before and after.
Yes, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
Fitness before and after, like property before and after.
Yeah, man.
And I think there's a sense of, I don't know the word I would use. It's probably like inside everybody, I think there's a small bit of creativity that everybody wants to release.
Yeah.
And when it comes to property, I guess for you, it was transforming something from being really bad to, I guess, where it is now. So that's interesting.
Yeah, 100%. So great question, because making me reflect, maybe it wasn't just the property, it was just the ability to stretch yourself, create a team, and build something really special that you're proud of. Like you came to see one of my projects last year. You saw what it was like before, and then you saw kind of pictures of what it was like after and stuff. And it's just like, when I took my parents there, they were like, is this the same house? They were like, so yeah, and that's kind of why, yeah.
And how do you manage to run all of these businesses, right? Because you mentioned how many different businesses you have now, right? And we always ask this question to anyone that runs multiple businesses. Why not just focus on scaling one? Why try and build multiple?
So I think the only way that it's possible is with like leverage, basically. So actually building a team around you, that's literally the only way that could be possible. So in terms of how to make it, I'll give you an example, right? So with my project, so the one did a year or so ago, the one that I also the property awards for, right?
Yeah.
That project, I obviously had to pay an architect, I had to pay project managers, I had to pay a designer, all of that stuff basically. So there is an outlay in building a team. You have to pay these people. You meet, you network, you see who can do it. The problem is that a lot of people see this as a cost, and they basically say, oh, well, I can do this myself. Why am I paying these people? Okay. And then that stops them. But what happens at the initial outlay to build this team meant that the property was valued at almost 3 times what I purchased it for. Okay. At the same time, I could still have my family time. I could still do these other things. So as well as doing that, still do the other things. And at the end, I could pull out the majority of the funds I put into it, basically. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the opportunity cost over everything overall is better when you build a team around you and stuff like that.
So it just allowed you to leverage more, right? Without having to actually be too tied up in the detail.
100%. So obviously you have to know you have to know your stuff. You have to know how everything works, basically. Have the knowledge. But yeah, to answer your question, literally one word: leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage is the reason why people can build all these things or run all these things. Because you're just one person, you just have a certain amount of time in your day.
Yeah.
But bringing a team and knowing how to do things properly, that's what allows you to achieve that.
So on the property side, when it comes to the HMO projects, talk to us about your current portfolio. What does that look like? How many projects have you done to date? You mentioned that you've built the portfolio up to $1 million. So love to know kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, sure. So so at the moment, projects wise, we've got 3 at the moment. It's just like kind of completed and stuff like that, and then going through a process with another one. They've all been quite similar. So purchases are quite kind of between a range of kind of 120 to 160 k kind of purchase price, and then all of them are kind of either 2 or 3 beds that purchase that price range, and then end valuations for them range between kind of 350 at the lowest to 460 at the highest. So that basically, essentially, all the HMOs are now kind of all en suites. The latest one has 2 kitchenettes, the 6-bed, and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of the same process where we're taking 2 or 3 beds, making them 5 or 6 beds, outside Article 4 areas. Although the next ones, because things are getting more and more difficult in Manchester, Article 4 wise, we probably just need to actually just buy one. You can actually still do a HMO in Article 4 area, but you have to be just careful about the adjacency rules and HMO density and all that kind of stuff. So it'd be doing things in a bit more of a nuanced, smarter way than moving.
So is the plan still to convert properties that are non-Article 4?
Yeah, there's still non-Article 4 areas, but there's always opportunity and stuff like that. So if opportunities that they come across, and that was, you know, like kind of suitable with the numbers matched, all that kind of stuff, then there's always kind of scope to to do more.
I just thought you meant buying actual Article 4 stock and then refurbishing it.
I mean, that possibly, but I think it's interesting because there's just something about converting. I don't know. It just goes back to the start and all that kind of stuff. But also, if you think about it, you need less cash to actually go into it. So I'll give you an example. One of my projects, we purchased it at 150, which was 50k below market value. The reason was actually because there were some concerns about structural issues. So the seller couldn't sell it for like a whole year, basically. So when I put the offer in, I took a bit of a risk and actually did a survey in the building. And the survey came back, there were no structural issues. Obviously, the vendor didn't have that survey, but for him, he was just really happy that someone's actually purchased the property. So buying it below market value at 150k, with all the works and stuff like that, that was then valued at 450k at the end. So that allowed me to pull out most of my funds in terms of how much I left in about 20k, because it did need a lot of work. We did a dormer and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think the reason why, not only is it the transformation that you have there as well, but also you can be a bit smarter with recycling your funds, rather than kind of tying them into, if you just kind of buy a ready-made HMO.
100%. Yeah. I think there's a key part in that project alone, though, actually, because it's like, what's that quote? It's like find the opportunity that everybody else misses.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's been on the market for a year. So was it that people didn't want to pay for the structural survey, I guess, before they bought it? Yeah. So you took a risk in paying for the survey.
I had to pay for the survey.
How much was the survey?
Oh gosh, it was like, it was so minuscule. It was like less than 1k. I think it was maybe, oh gosh, so like kind of 600 or 700.
So £600 you had to pay to basically get 50k off.
Yeah, exactly. And no, the things that everyone's happy. So I think, because you have to always do things. I believe in trying, like always doing things, like trying to benefit all parties and stuff available. Because this guy really, he had to move. He had family he had to move and stay with. He had a life he wanted to move on to, but he couldn't because of his property issue and stuff like that. So like for him, that was a price he was happy to have. And obviously, I felt like really happy that I could help him with his property problem as well. So yeah, there's opportunities that around all the time, and it's even better when you can do things, you know, like in a way where everyone benefits. Yeah.
How did you fund the deals?
Yes, I mean with funding them. So thankfully, I had like I started off with some savings as well, and obviously kind of raising finance and all that kind of stuff with my first deal, which really helped as well. I think when you tap into your network and say, look, I've got this deal and all that kind of stuff, that really helped. I think having that confidence and that kind of self-assurance that you know what you're doing, talking about, helps. Because I actually did raise finance for my first deal ever.
What was that process like?
It was really scary. it was scary because, like, I mean, like, it goes back to where I was like, okay, I've got an idea. I know I can do all that kind of stuff, right? But it was my first one, right? But I had the education, I had the network, and I had a team, right? So although you can never be 100% certain, but I was able to raise the funds because the people I spoke with, they had that confidence in me. And that's from years, like, you don't do it overnight. Like, people watch you over years. Like, are you like a man of your word? Are you like following through on things and all that kind of stuff? And then when you have to become the sort of person that can raise finance. You get what I'm saying? And so without knowing, I'd already built the skills and I had the network. So even though it was my first deal at that time, I was still able to raise the finance. And going through that whole process, like repaying them back and stuff like that, is just the best thing for me, to be honest. To actually have done it and all that kind of stuff.
It's funny, we keep talking about the process and it comes back over and over again. You had a goal, right? And the who came after. You had to explain, because when you're raising finance, you have to you can't just go and raise finance for the sake of it and just speak to an investor. There's nothing there. You have to be very clear on what the vision is for the project, what the returns are, the structure, all those things. Not necessarily you have to know, but you have to be very clear on, and this is what I need. And then if it means putting the right people in the positions to play their role, then that's great. They're going to find confidence not only in you, but the team that you've put together. And the fact that you're orchestrating this, that's important, right? But going back to that beginning, it's having the goal and then finding the who. And that's the same thing that applies to raising finance. That's the same thing that has applied to building your other businesses as well. So I love that.
100%. I think one thing that really changed for me in the last couple of years really is like, there's just so much abundance. Like, I didn't really like, it's just crazy. Like, my whole attitude to like money, opportunity, like what's out there has completely changed, like by just changing who I'm surrounding myself with.
Yeah.
Where like it's so true, like in terms of like money is probably one of the most abundant things in the world. And if you have value to bring and value to give, like it will just find its way to you. Do you get what I'm saying? So that was a big thing for me, because obviously with my doctor hat on, I've got loads of colleagues and stuff like that, and a lot of them are kind of like working 9 to 5 or like salaried roles and all that kind of stuff. So that mentality is very different from the mentality that I've built, right? And so with that mentality, like you got to save all your money and all that kind of stuff. And so when you come from that and you realize that there's a subset of people that are living in a completely different world, it blows your mind, doesn't it? And like,
of course. One thing I want to add to that as well is when it comes to having an idea and being able to execute it, I think a lot of people, especially in property, but probably business in general, is they have an idea and then their first thing is, I don't have the money. Or, well, maybe I don't have the time, but the main thing I think is also, I don't have the money to 100%. Execute this. So it's always a case of, okay, once you have the idea, you then need to become the person that can execute the idea 100%, so that people believe in you. Because really and truly, entrepreneurship is more so just about people believing in your idea and just funding it. Because I guarantee, right, if Elon Musk came to any one of us, let's just say before Tesla is what it is today, but he said, guys, if you give me £100, I want to invest in Tesla. Like, probably not even £100. Let's actually say something, push the boat out a bit. If Elon Musk said to all of us, okay, I need 10K to invest into this business, would we give it to him?
Yeah.
100%.
Elon Musk is,
but it's like no questions asked, right? Because we know that he's going to execute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's like the people that I guess need to raise money or need to execute on a certain project, it's like once they can become the person that can execute, there's going to be people that believe in them.
Yeah.
Exactly like you with executing on your HMO project, is you had people believe in you. Was it family, friends?
So it's a family friend. Okay. So not I didn't don't know why I didn't actually I think what was happening, because I was going networking, I was just showing everyone what I was doing. You know, I'm going to the pin meeting, I was going to this event, I was putting on stories, and then when I go on a viewing, I put that on, and I had like someone just say, "Oh, what are you doing?" All that kind of stuff. So I think that's where kind of my first investor came from, in terms of obviously they were like a family friend on my Instagram. They saw that and stuff, and they always say people that know, like, and trust you, right? So I already had that at the start, and yeah, it builds up from there. But it doesn't mean that obviously I was in that position to have that person, but still, it's still the same process with anyone. You just show what you're doing. You just show it around, and you actually make that progress yourself. So
basically document. So
Do you know what I love about that? There's like that formula to success, right? That's pretty much what you're following. Like people that know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
You're putting out what you're doing. You're showing it. You're not hiding it. What's interesting as well, like even recently, like as I've been following you on social media, I've been seeing more of the peak performance, the health side of things. But still in the background, you're doing the property side, right? Yeah. And you've shown that at a point. So even if it's a case where you came to someone with another deal, it's like, well, you're not even necessarily even showing this, but you have the proof there in the pudding. But you're following the formula. And I tell people, like, when I was younger, I loved maths. And the main reason I loved maths is because there were different types of, not methodologies, but there were different formulas that you can use to problem solve. So anytime I encountered a problem and I knew there was a formula I needed to use, I was like, okay, cool. Just follow the formula. You will find the answer. And but it's the same thing that applies in business, right? You just follow that process and
100%
you get to the solution.
100%. And it's funny, I think you mentioned kind of in my social media and stuff. So I went on a journey myself. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we can get really like fixated on a goal. And this was like me. So this is when I won the kind of awards and all that kind of stuff, property, right? So I was getting really fixated at that stage. Like, I need to do this, I need to do this, all that kind of stuff. That my health really suffered in terms of, you know, my blood pressure was up, risk of pre-diabetes and all that kind of stuff. And then I got to a stage where I was like struggling to like play with my little girls because I was like, feeling really short of breath and stuff. So that's like the flip side in terms of like you can have the real passion to go for it, but sometimes if you're not aware of having to look after yourself, that can have the negative impact. So that's why social media stuff, obviously I'm still doing the property and stuff, but I really feel that people like us with this mindset and stuff like that need to realize that looking after yourself is just as important as going for these goals.
100%.
Because there's people that depend on you. Like your dreams need someone that can function, that can actually like do it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it should be an essential part of your mission, where you've got this goal you're trying to achieve, you've got the steps, all that kind of stuff, but high performance has got to be part of that puzzle, where, you know, you're looking after your fitness, you're eating the right things and stuff like that, because without your health you just have nothing. Nothing really.
I mean, I used to get away with a lot of this stuff when I was younger. Like people that know me from young, I was skinny. Right? I always call myself a twig then.
Serious?
No, generally. But then aesthetically, I started going to the gym, so aesthetically I looked like I was healthy. But you put me on a run, I was just, there's no way I'm even running like 500 meters or so.
That's what I was saying.
Being out of breath. But now I care about all around fitness. Like nutrition is important to me. Sleep is important to me. Like I've had this Aura ring for about a year.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. Some people use a Whoop. I don't really like the band, but this is no shade to Whoop. It's just, it's
if
just
they're listening to this.
No, if they're listening to this, look, guys, were cool. But the Aura ring is, I just love tracking my sleep. My sleep took a bit of a hit in the last 3 months, but this month, September, I've just been so on it in terms of making sure that I'm cutting off at a particular time.
Love that.
Screen time, not having it after probably 10. Sometimes you might slack there, but just being very regimental in that process. And I'm seeing the benefits. Like I'm so much more alert when it comes to work. You also got to look at it as a way where if your health takes a hit, then everything else it has a knock-on effect on everything else. So that could be even just your responsiveness to the team, you being at your peak levels to perform. So for instances, if I've got a foggy brain and a foggy mind, but someone needs me to operate at a certain level and I'm just not there, that's impacted by the way I'm treating myself from my diet and my sleep and everything around 100%. That.
It is, and I just kind of reflect, like, so I during COVID I was actually working in the hospice, and at that time people weren't allowed to visit their relatives like during the dying days. So I was a lot of times
Wow.
I was the last person that people saw before they died in the hospice. And I remember this woman, like literally in the last hour of her life, I was literally holding an iPad to her face as she was saying goodbye to her family who were on FaceTime with her. And we just had the day before, when she was a bit more kind of, she was so with us more, just talked about her life and everything like that. And exactly what she talks about is that, you know, she had done all of these things in life, but like, she was like, I wish I did this. I wish I wasn't now in the terminal phase. Like, you could tell that those regrets and all that kind of stuff. So that's where like the passion comes from, and that's why I'm sharing more of this kind of stuff. Because a lot of people, they think fitness and all health and all that kind of stuff is about aesthetics. You know, just the six pack and all that kind of stuff. Which is why I don't like posting like my fitness body and stuff like that. But sometimes it just helps to click stuff. But it's far more than that. Like, as a doctor, I see the importance, you know, of looking after yourself in that way. And the fact that if you can incorporate this stuff in your entrepreneurial journey, then you're gonna win. Yeah. But you can't win if you're letting that drop. Do you get what I'm saying? You can't.
100%. Yeah. No, 100% agree, man. Gym is definitely more for the mind than the body, and keeping your fitness at a certain level.
So like, even though it's a part of like the health and the nutrition and fitness wise, you're a doctor and you've been in that environment of a hospice, right? What sort of impact has that had from you on a mental standpoint? Because even just what you said there, like, pushed me back a bit. I was like, wow, it must be a lot to take on in terms of coming across people like that in that state. So like, how do you manage that? How do you deal with that?
So it's just taking the lessons from that. For me, I realized that like in this life, we have such a short amount of time that you can't live with regret. So essentially, people sometimes don't do something because of fear of failure and all that kind of stuff. But what I realized is that the actual fear of that regret was actually worse. That's actually worse for people. Whereas what I learned from that experience is that the failure side of things, like failure, those people at the end of their life, they just took it as part of a learning experience, where it was actually good for them because like they failed, but they got this experience, or they became this person, or they became better, or they learned this, all that kind of stuff. But the regret was a really heavy thing. That was something that people took with them to the last days. So that was overwhelmingly over that whole period of time what I took from that. And then that shaped me as I am now, because if I've got an idea or like a passion or like with like a fire within me, I've got to execute, because I know, for instance, like what I've talked about, I'm passionate about helping people with their health, their fitness. I know that if I did not launch that business, and have all these clients, I know that 10, 20 years from now, I'd be regretful. I'd be like, I did this for myself. Like, how did I not help other people to do it? So that is the main thing I took from that experience.
That's big, man.
Yeah.
It's really big.
So many people are like scared, like literally because of that fear of failure. I think even, and I said fear of failure, but I think even being seen to fail is probably a bigger fear. And as well, like people say, oh, like he tried this, it didn't work. Or I think, and I think that just stops a lot of dreams, stops people from doing that. So from that experience anyway,
And that's in a lot of people's heads. Like, there's times I'm in the gym, like for instance, and I'm working out, and I'm like, oh man, I can't show I'm tired. Everyone else is gonna think like, why is this? No one cares, because when I'm struggling, I do not give a damn if someone's fallen off the treadmill. I just care about what I'm doing. But somehow we think we're the main character in everyone's story.
Exactly.
You're not only a main character in your story, so you should just focus on what's happening with you. You know, not in that sense, but you know, in some context, that you need to just not worry about the outside voices and what you think other people are thinking, because sometimes someone might just be thinking, I left my jacket, or you know, did I turn the iron off, or do you know, there's just random thoughts. I know I'm being quite silly in the examples, but generally most people are concerned about themselves half the time. Like I like even the guy behind, I have no idea what he might be thinking, but in my mind, because I'm thinking this person might think this, that impacts me.
100%.
But no conversations happen, you know.
I think that actually brings me nicely onto the point that I was going to make is, you mentioned people being scared to be seen to fail.
Yeah.
And for me, when I first met you, we met in a property space. But then I found out you were a GP and you were posting all this content. You had a YouTube channel posting content about health. So I was like, wow, okay. And then I feel like you were going through that whole property phase. And then I felt like things got a bit quiet. Then we went out for lunch, obviously the family, which was really nice. And then you mentioned to me, okay, yeah, I'm setting something up. Like, watch out for it. And I think it might have been the next week after, this guy was just going hard on the content, like, literally every single day, short. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool, I understand. But talk me through that kind of drive to then really like double down on the health content, and also talk to us about what that business is, because so the viewers understand.
Yeah, of course. So that the drive came from my own personal journey, where so literally don't know if you guys put photos or stuff like that on this podcast, but like for me, literally I went through a phase where I lost 45 pounds of body fat, but in a way which fit me as a busy doctor, busy healthcare professional, as a business owner and stuff like that. So I didn't give up my family life and all that kind of stuff. So when I achieved that and I improved my health, I was like, I would really regret it if I don't help people with this and post more on that kind of stuff. At that time as well, I was aware that, look, I was known as the property guy, and I'd just been at the awards and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm still doing property now. I've still got projects and stuff going on now. So yeah, like in my head, I'm like, oh, like if I post more health stuff, I'm going to be like, I'm not a property guy anymore. So that did go through my head. I'm like, oh, people are going to say I'm not doing it. But I was like, look, if I've got this passion, I've been through this journey, and I can help people, then that should override that. And it's not like I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'm still doing it, but like, it doesn't need to be the main thing, because I've got a greater vision, right? So that's literally, that was my thing. And everyone, you need to go through that journey yourself, where you're still doing the work, but you're not afraid of that. So that was me. And yeah, so the business is, it's called Health Formula. And it's literally focused on like people like, it's just helping you actually improve your health through fat loss and fitness and all that kind of stuff. So, and doing it in a way that works and stuff like that. So yeah.
What made you start sharing content online?
Yeah.
Because I feel with any founder, not even just being in property, anyone being in business, I feel like business has changed in terms of how you what you share and how you share. And I think you've posted probably over 100 videos, right?
Yeah, I have.
So the fact that you post so consistently, like, what made you start sharing things online? What was the goal for you?
I love that. Honestly, as to the health side of things, health content has always been there. That's my first ever video, which is really bad. Don't watch it. First ever video was me talking about it, kind of. You
need to leave it there.
Health stuff. It's just to reflect. Yeah. So as a doctor, what's been happening now, especially kind of post COVID, is that people have been going online. People use YouTube, TikTok, Instagram for health information, but because like health sells and it's like clickbaity, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I felt like as a senior doctor, it's actually like my duty to like go where people are actually engaging with it, and so that's why I started making content. And what happens with content, people, they just think, oh, it's about the views, likes, and subscribers, right? But what I've got from it is just so much more than that. Like, to a stage where I've been invited by Google and YouTube Health. I've been to Google several times to give talks. I'm part of a task force in kind of YouTube regarding healthcare and all that kind of stuff. In 2 weeks, I'm going to TikTok in London, which is crazy because I don't like TikTok. I don't like TikTok, but I don't like YouTube is my baby. But it's like you have all these opportunities, right? Like using it, like it's just crazy. Like using it, you just get addicted and stuff like that. And even other opportunities that I've worked with the WHO, I've been doing some work with them around health inequalities and stuff like that. So I'm sharing this, not to say, look, I'm doing all these things from content. It's just like when you start opening up and sharing things online, like the amount of opportunities, the people and the friendships that you make and the stuff that comes out, like you might not see that now, but that comes with the consistency and the outcome. So yeah, that's kind of been my journey with content, and yeah, I've reached to points where I didn't think I would, but you wouldn't get there unless you really kind of take yourself out of the comfort zone and actually start making it and creating it.
How did you overcome that hurdle of not posting content to posting content?
Oh, it's just like, it was just painful, but I was like, it ties into like to your mission. Like for me, my mission was to just help people just become healthier and fight misinformation. So this is me with my doctor hat on. And the only way to do that is to put yourself out there. There's literally no other way to do it.
Yeah.
And you're never going to start off. I knew that you're never going to start off good. Like it's always going to suck at the start. I always knew that. But also I knew that if you don't do the work, you're not going to get to the stage where you look effortless and you look like you know what you're doing. Unless you like click record, you're never going to get to that stage. Like with this podcast, like you be looking at these episodes, 200 episodes on, and be like, wow, like we had to, but like you'd be like, you have to put in the reps, and people don't see that. You have to put in the reps. You're not just going to overnight be good. And as long as you're willing and comfortable to suck at the start, and just be consistent, then you just get really good. So yeah,
that's a key point. Honestly, key point. Being willing to stuck at the start is so important.
Yeah. I love what you said, even the fact that the reason why you started, because I think I read an article, I think it's on a few different sites about you, is that you saw people taking advice from someone that had like over 200,000 subscribers, but it was misinformation. And
I think that's on the BBC.
Yeah.
That day was mad because like I remember like I was on the BBC page, right? I didn't know when they were gonna put me on BBC, but then literally I got like 30 messages and like calls and stuff. Like, we're seeing you on the BBC. What are you doing here? But that's probably what you read and stuff. And this is it's mad. This is literally what happens when you put yourself out there. You have like major news outlets. You have all these opportunities. I went to the House of Lords, gave a talk there. Like it's a bit mad, isn't it? But yeah, it's just having that confidence that these are the opportunities that will happen when you just put yourself out there. Yeah.
And it's a unique experience. We spoke about this with Tyler. We probably speak about this with ourselves and other people we know in our network. I read that right in my own time. That article's probably been written once, but the fact that I've gone and read it and now I've come with information and I've come and delivered that to you, that's something you're already aware of, but you don't need to come and physically tell me that. Yeah. But I found that information.
I didn't even know you read it.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't know until I shared it. But the fact is, I've walked away with information that's still about you, and you're not in the room.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so it's a way, like, just the same way when you're building a business, you understand leverage in business. It's the same thing as content and putting out stuff in the media, whatever forum you want to use, but you're leveraging and it's working without you having to physically be there. It's a unique thing to just do something once and not have to do this again. We're not going to have to do this podcast episode again. We probably want to sit down at another time and maybe record that, but fundamentally we're just doing it once, and whoever's watching this right now, they're probably watching at a time where I could be sleeping, I could be in another country, I could be doing various other things, but they're taking value from it, right? Exactly. And then they're going to want to look into other things you're doing, because sometimes when people find something from you and they see value, it's not just going to start and stop there. It'll continue, and they want to know more and more and more. Before they know it, they've just got hours and hours of content about you, 100%. And then they're just going to walk away thinking like, I know this person. And then when they do see you, you're not someone that they're just seeing as, this is Dr. Derek and I've never met him before. I've never heard of him. It's like, this is Dr. Derek and I know this, and this about him, which is a unique experience that we should be leveraging.
That's what I'm saying. Like in terms of like, because we're both like entrepreneurs, like all of us, all three of us, we're entrepreneurs. We like I like to see it as, so we know about physical assets because we're in property. But people need to realize that there's also digital assets that you're building, and that's also really important. And not a lot of people have the ability to be consistent over a long period of time. So if you just have that, like you're so well placed, like if you're consistent with content, you're building this asset, just like you'd be doing with the physical side of things. And like the more and more people like realize it and wake up to it, you know, that this is how your personal brand, all that kind of stuff. That's the new way. This is the new way that you're building wealth. You're creating businesses. You're creating relationships, partnerships, all sorts of things. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So moving on to like things like inspiration. I know you spoke a bit about your dad being a huge inspiration in terms of sparking
100%.
that fire, right? But from a business entrepreneurial sense, who are some of the people that you look to as, you know, inspiros or, you know, motivation? You know, it would be interesting to know like those kind of figures that have had an impact in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I always start off. So I love reading. Like I've read so many books. Like Ross, we've always talked about reading and stuff like that. So I'm always on a podcast or reading all that kind of stuff. So like inspiration for me. So The Slightest Edge, which is one of the best books I read last year by Jeff Olson.
That book
years
ago, actually. That's a good book.
And that will literally summarize. If someone didn't want to watch this podcast, they could just read that book. And stuff like that. And that summarizes things, because I think like a lot of people, they don't see. It's really hard actually when you're putting in the work and you physically can't see the fruits of your labor or the rewards. But that book has helped me to reframe and see that that's just part of the journey, and that is what gives you the slightest edge, that ability to be consistent when you can't see it, and things will grow and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of inspirations, obviously Benjamin Hardy, like all these books, all that kind of stuff. But someone that I'm kind of watching a lot of at the moment that you probably know, Myron Golden, is a huge inspiration for me. The main reason is how he's been able to get the intersection between like faith and business, because my faith has grown tenfold this year. I've lent on God during the tough times, and during the challenges, and the way he makes you realize how wealth is like a spiritual thing, and how things interplay, and how you can still have your faith and all that kind of stuff. How that faith, that is such an important bit of your actual wealth building journey. It's not just like something you have separate and stuff like that. So I'd probably say at the moment, probably in terms of like outside family and stuff like that, Myron Golden's a huge inspiration. And
through Myron Golden, I came across Omar El Khattauri.
Oh, I didn't know you knew him.
Yeah. You know him as well?
Oh my gosh, I've binged his content.
Do you know what's so funny? I actually found out about Omar from Think Media.
Me too. I thought it was a Think Media.
Yeah, when he was part of them, and then when he set up his own podcast, I was like, nah, this is gold.
It's gold. He's like, he's kind of finding that bridge in terms of scripture and business. There was something he spoke about recently. There was a post, I actually shared it with my friend, because he's talking about being a steward of your finances and, being a steward of wealth.
Oh, okay. He'd share that with me.
I'll share it with you after. And he talks about, like, there's a verse in Samuel where it talks about King David, before he was a king, right? And it says something, for me, as a believer, I see, like, when the Bible says the Lord says, it's like word is bond, right? So if we take word is bond, there's this, I'm going to paraphrase it anyway, I'm not going to say it in like verbatim, but essentially when he speaks about David, he's talking about, I look at the heart, right? When I'm looking at people, but man judges the outward appearance. But when Omar El Khattauri is breaking down the scripture, he goes, but man looks at the outward appearance, meaning that they still judge how you appear. So like, say someone walks into the gym, and if they're wearing a suit, you're either thinking someone's coming to the gym or they're leaving. But if they're on the treadmill in a suit, you're like, is this person okay, right? Because you're judging their appearance, right? As in that doesn't correlate with this particular thing. So that's important to understand even in business, because he's like, I could be wearing a Rolex and you might be like, why would you spend so much money on that? But if it only really is like maybe 1% of what I have, or even 0.1%, it's really pennies to me, right? But if someone is breaking their bank to purchase like an Apple Watch, but an Apple Watch is so expensive to them, is that really good financial stewardship? It's not.
100%.
So it still goes back to this, man judges the outward appearance. So you need to be a good steward of a particular thing. And if you're idolizing that thing, then that's, your heart's in the wrong place. And it just broke it down in a way. I was like, I've never really read that scripture in that way. I've just always kind of scooted past it and said, yeah, man judges appearance, and God looks at the heart. But he says no. So if you actually understand that, you can use that to your advantage within business, but you're not doing it in a way it's like I'm trying to manipulate someone. You're just doing it with the knowledge that actually me portraying a particular way or wearing particular things, it will lead to new opportunities where he can still point the glory back to God.
I love that.
And I was like,
That's
wow,
amazing.
that's amazing how you broke it down.
And you realize that, like, so when you watch these people, right, you realize that, like, you can actually get business secrets, like, from the Bible. Like, you can actually get these lessons from the
Yeah.
Bible, which is, like, it comes to life. And it's almost like, what did someone say? Like, I think it was Marin. It's like saying, like, you know how, like, gravity, you can't say that, oh, it wouldn't work on me because you know, I didn't, you know, I didn't grow up rich or like that
Yeah.
stuff. These are like laws, like these are things that
They exist regardless if you
and all
believe
that
in
kind
them
of
or not.
stuff. And it's the whole message that everyone's talking about you know, taking action, consistency, not giving up, all this kind of stuff. You might not see the fruit straight away, but just like gravity, like these things are just good. They're going to lead to the outcome.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you have those written, you know, in the Bible, you're through faith, and that's that is the reason why, you know, we ask for the role model. That is why, that's the realization it's allowed me to have. So yeah, that's definitely one thing that I've kind of taken going on.
And personal development, like that's a big change
Yeah,
for
huge.
most people, right? When it dealing with mindset and so many other things that you could be tackling in that place. But
Yeah.
what's your personal development journey been like? So, for instance, I probably can break that down in the sense of like networking. So, going to events, right? What's that been like for you?
Yeah. For me, it was really different, like, because like the environment that I was on before I started networking with entrepreneurs was just so much limits, and there's like so much restriction, and you have to fight for this and all that kind of stuff. So for my mindset, just being around people that could just see so many possibilities, and being around people that I can say like, oh, I've done this, that, and like, oh, okay, I mean, yeah, you keep going, I'll do more, like you could do better in this way, all that kind of stuff. That's meant the world to me, like, because it's helped me to push. And so the fact that if you're surrounded, like, I love being like the brokest person in the room. Like, I love being, I told you about this trip I've got in Dubai in a couple of months,
Coach,
and I know that I'll be the poorest like coach there. I know that, but I love that because that's what you want. You want to be surround yourself with people that are doing what you are, but are just so much successful. Because you can still give something, you can still help them in some way, but it also just, you're like, okay, there's levels to this, and that's what you want.
Expand your mindset in terms of what's possible.
Yeah.
I saw a video recently where it said something about if you're in a room with no one that's, let's say, bought a house before, right? You're going to feel like this is impossible, and you're going to complain about all the reasons as to why you can't buy a house. But if there's 10 people in the room and 9 of them have bought the house and you're the one without it, you're gonna say you're next.
True.
Yeah.
So it's the way your environment does shape you, and it's really important. Like, so I encourage people to go to networking events. I said it before, I encourage masterminds. But you can go to all these things. If you have no idea what you want to be doing anyway, then you're just going to be a sitting duck in these places.
True.
But I'd rather still be in those places, even not knowing what I'm doing, because it's good to be around people that know what they're doing, because then it's going to pressure you to know what to do.
That stuff.
So,
yeah.
I think environment is key, and I think there was a book that I was reading, and it said, when somebody mentions something, think about the first thought that pops into your mind.
Oh yeah.
So, like, if someone was to just say, oh, like, let's say you just met someone and they would say to you, oh, my business next year is going to do 8 figures. Like, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Now, for a lot of people, it may be, oh, lucky you. Do you know what I mean? Or, oh, I wish, you know, I could be in that position. But then for other people, it's going to be like, oh, wow, like, tell me more. What do you do?
Yes.
Like, what did you do to be able to get to that level? And I think it's very interesting when you talk about being in these different rooms, the fact that you're going to be the, let's say, poorest coach in that room, but really you might actually leave being the wealthiest, because you're going to get so much of a wealth of information and be able to tap into everybody else there. So I think that's crucial for people watching this, is think about the first thought that pops into your head when you hear things. And if it's negative, try and reframe that thought.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, it might be the conditioning that you've been brought up with, which causes you to think that way. So
100%. And how do you guys feel? Like, I also feel you've also be really careful about the environments you go into and stuff. So I've been doing that more and more, like these days, because I'm obviously so busy with the businesses, you know, with the family and stuff like that. I'm really, really careful about who I surround myself with.
Yeah.
like what I do with my time, the kind of conversations I have, like these kind of conversations are what I want to be having. Because ultimately I'm going to leave today and like have, just be elevated and be like, I could do this and do that. And that's, I think, as well as trying to find yourself in these environments, I think it's also really important to not be within certain environments as well that will take you the other way.
Yeah. But it's like what you said, once you know the person you're trying to become or the person you're trying to be, that intention, knowing that, creates clarity in terms of where you should be and where you shouldn't be. So for instance, if I know that I want to become a footballer, as an example, and I'm a youngster training, I'm going to want to be around coaches. I'm going to want to be around other footballers. I'm going to be around people that are trying to push towards something. There's no point me being around, a completely different discipline that are trying to do something else. So your environment is important in terms of once you have an idea or what the goal. We keep saying it, right? And it's probably the theme of this whole episode is like, you could say clarity creates a pathway. That's primarily one of the main principles I believe in. Yeah. But that pathway will make you understand, I don't need to be having this conversation, or I don't need to be up at this particular time because I know sleep and rest is really important to me.
What would you say you're really excited about currently?
Yeah.
About all the things that you're doing. So yeah, in all the businesses.
Yeah. So I absolutely love making content. So people watch my stuff and they use it to improve their health. So I'm excited about that. Future wise, I'm really looking to build and develop in my, my fitness side of things. I'm so passionate about helping people improve their health through fat loss. I've seen the impact it's had on me, on my family and stuff like that. I want to give that to as many people as possible. That excites me. It excites me that I've got a business plan that can scale, that can help millions around the world. And also, I'm excited. It's a bit of a scary one because I know that I'm not going to give up until I get there and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's exciting to see how far that can really go. That really excites me. And obviously, my other businesses, property, all that stuff, that's there. But it's like what we talked about before. These are all just vehicles and stuff like that. The most important thing is the person that you are, the person that you're becoming through it all and stuff like that. So, I've still got my team. I've still got projects live, all that kind of stuff. So definitely excited to keep building my portfolio, looking at generational wealth, looking at the passive income. But my real passion now is impact that scales, and to really use my skills in health, in fitness to help as many people as possible. Yeah.
That's really dope, man.
Yeah.
I guess final question for me before we wrap up is, it's more for the viewer as opposed to myself, but if someone's watching this and they're interested in property or interested in starting in business, but they don't know where to start, what would you recommend?
I think your first step is clarity. So I literally took a whole day of just sitting by myself and saying, what do I want in life? Like, what do I actually want? I think if you do that before spending any money, before watching any YouTube videos or anything like that, if you literally just sit down and say, what do I want? I think that will be the best use of your time. I suggest for your viewers to start off with clarity. That's how I started off. That's how I realized that I've got this burning desire to transform things. And I realized that I also want a high cash flow strategy to buy back time. And so I started with that before I even knew what a HMO was, all that kind of stuff. That's how I started. And then I layered that up on top with education and networking, basically. And then when you get there, you then find out what a HMO is, and you find out how to convert it. Then you find out what you need to do, the fire doors, the size of the rooms, what are the, Article 4, what's this, and all that kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. Then you build that on top, okay? On top of so you clarity, then you have education, and then with that, though, you have got to take action. Like my dad says, there's no beauty but the beauty of action, the African proverb. So if you're not going to take the action, then I wouldn't waste time on spending money on courses, education, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the next layer. You've got to take action. When you get clarity, you've got to move with it. You've got to move with intention, all that kind of stuff. And after you take action, then the thing from that is literally, look, disruption follows intention. So whenever you do anything new or put anything in place, there will be this, it's just the law of the universe. It's what happens. So just be prepared for the setbacks and be consistent with it. And then so that's literally the steps I'd suggest to your viewers and stuff like that. But just be prepared for it and
That's
prepared to put in the work. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. No, it's great, man. Great to see your journey so far. It's been amazing to kind of watch it from a distance.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, looking forward to what's to come. So,
Oh man,
yeah,
excited.
I guess last thing, you know, if someone wants to find you, how can they find you? What's socials?
So on Instagram, I'm Dr. Derek Adu on Instagram. So yeah, just find out. I drop a video every single day about health, fitness, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you find it really helpful. On YouTube, you can find me on Adu Med as well. I drop slightly different kind of health, medical condition type of stuff there as well. So those are my main 2 platforms I'm on at the moment.
Oh, pretty dope, man.
I'm on TikTok as well, but although I am great to TikTok, you
probably just created that before you go. You're like, let me create something.
Just so that
something
you got an account.
yeah,
that's pretty dope. Cool, man. But thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch and follow your progress. So
love it, man. Thanks for inviting. I've really enjoyed it.
Cool. Great,
Good
man.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Good stuff.
Sweet. That's
Cool,
a wrap.
man.
Yeah, man.
That's a wrap.